Welcome to the next Innkeep Developer Diary. It's been 2 weeks already. Time flies. Let's see what we've got. One thing that unfortunately I was not able to make a lot of progress on was stuff that's more kind of content focused, like gameplay. I really wanted to show you guys some of the proposed or planned table-based communication where guests gather at tables and chat. And I was really excited to get into that and really show you guys some of the actual core gameplay of what I want this game to be. Unfortunately, I really ended up losing a lot of time to tinkering with some other things, which I'll show you in a minute. And basically, I did get a lot done in these 2 weeks, but it was more to do with interface or features that aren't kind of strictly gameplay related in the sense of like the core element. So I'm still really excited to show it to you. I hope that we don't have a crash because it's still a little bit buggy right now, and it does crash sometimes. I'm still ironing out some kinks in some of the code for selecting people and stuff. But if it does, we'll just keep going. Show must go on, and let's have a look. So, first thing you might notice is that we have a sprite. Hello, here we go. Just an updated sprite. It's very simple, obviously I knocked it up in 5 minutes. As I have said before, everything in here is just temporary art, so there'll be some animations, there'll be nice art. Just imagine that it's something better than this eventually, something better than this. But here we go. It's still a little bit less distracting than a white ghost. And here's our guest, who also has had a bit of a makeover. The guy is a male, but as I've mentioned I think before, you will eventually be able to choose male or female versions. And it looks like there's a little bit of a sprite over here doing something. I have to clean that up. Alright, so the other thing that you may have noticed is that we have a cursor. This little guy is actually an object which follows around the regular cursor that's now invisible. This is really something that is just a little aesthetic thing that as soon as I put it in, it's like, oh wow, this is a game. I've got a cursor. It's a glove. I have my own little glove cursor. And that was a kind of, an exciting, one of those many little moments you have when you make your first game, I guess, where it's like, wow, But it's very practical because you can now see what I'm pointing at, which you could not see in earlier videos because my recording software doesn't show the default cursor for some reason. But now you can. You can see where I'm clicking, and I just clicked on this guy. You can see that when we select on guests now, there will be their name, randomly generated name, Small Nate the commoner, and this guy, Smelly Sam. There'll be a face, there'll be gold, so you can see how much gold they have, and you can see what kind of mood they're in. Let's just give him some gold, and have a look down here at this cursor here, this icon, sorry. There we go, a little bit of a flash there. So he has just given us some money, and now his gold has gone down, and I'm going to send him over to a table. So another big feature is that you can click on guys now, any one of these 4 tables, and click on the table, and they will go and sit at one of the 4 positions randomly. So let's just do that again. Able Ian, off you go. And he's going to go and sit down as well. If I click on a mug here, by the way, and then I mouse over this, it'll tell me what's in here. There's 18 pints of average quality ale. Okay, now there's 17 pints. So that's also some information that's pretty helpful. It'll only do that if I have an empty mug, so right now it won't show me that because I don't want to kind of piss you off with too much information. But if I click on it, it'll show it to me. Okay. Characters here, they will now drink while they're at the table, and like they already are programmed to do so with the bar, they will leave their empty mugs on this table for me to come and pick up, which is something which is I think it's really cool. It took a little bit of work, but it's pretty much working. When they're drinking, they're going to stay longer, and the speed at which they drink depends on how happy they are. So the merrier that they are, this guy's unhappy, so he's drinking pretty slow. Merry guys drink faster, which means you have the opportunity to give them more and make more money from them. So here, let's see, can I select here Harold? He's also unhappy. Unhappy Harold. Let's just give him something too. Alright. With the random sitting code, that was pretty tricky because when you select somebody, send them over there, you don't know if they're empty or not, so you have to check each position to see if there's someone sitting there, and then you need to randomly you have to kind of nest your random checks for each of the different possible outcomes and so on and so on. So that took quite a while, but it's working pretty good now. And here's another feature, zooming. You can now zoom in and out. This is a big one. This is pretty cool. I mean, it's aesthetically it's nice to be able to do it, but it's also very practical for people like me who have small monitors. I'm just programming this on a little old laptop, and if you can't see, this is something I found gameplay wise that you're just never going to find out until you actually start to make the game. You're not going to know until you actually try it and you realize, oh wait, if I'm always panning, like if I zoom in like this and I'm panning here and I'm panning over there, left to right, it starts to get really, really annoying. You need to be able to figure out, I mean, maybe there's some way I can provide some GUI information as well on the mental state or the merriness of the tables. But you need to generally have a way to quickly see, okay, they're having fun, or okay, that guy needs a beer. And if you can't see everything properly, you know, you're going to start to get pretty dizzy as you pan back and forth, and it's very annoying. So the zooming is a feature which didn't take that much time in the current state. It's very simple, but I did lose a lot of time because I was trying to get a better kind of smooth zoom. See how it very suddenly jumps in like it's a sniper scope or something, and I wanted a very nice smooth zoom, which I also have, and it does work, but it doesn't work with my shader system. You see, we have all of these lights and shaders, and they would need to be redrawn every time you zoom. And when you zoom in like this, suddenly, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a bit of flickering with the lights here, with the shadows. They every time I, oh, there we go, see? They are being resized every time I zoom in or out. And there's a lot of difficult math involved if I was to instead realign it with how much I've zoomed in or out when it's, you know, multiple times, like 20 changes per second or something, which a smooth zoom does. So I tried so hard. It's on the back burner, what can I say? So we've got simple zoom for now. It's one of those frustrating things. You can't always get the features you want. Sometimes you just have to stick with what you need. And here we go. You can see there's a mug left here on the table. You can also see that it's shadowy on that little side and bright on that side. I'm doing lots of these little things just to try and, you know, help enhance it. And there we go. That and this guy is dark on that side of the mug and bright on this side. So these little kind of touches to try and help, you know, pretend that, hey, this is actually a 3D environment with real light and it's not just a big illusion. Anything that can bring you into that feeling a little bit more, you know, is nice. Okay, let's see. If you look very closely, you might see that the light here is actually flickering. I'm not sure if the recording software is giving you enough information, enough data to really make that out, but if I put some light in the fire here, that's also flickering. And that is done by randomizing the alpha channels a bit, so it really just gives it that little bit of faint flickering that makes it look more like organic light instead of like a, you know, fluorescent or something like that. Let's go grab that mug. And one of the reasons I wanted to do that as well was just to help kind of give you that nice kind of cozy kind of feeling where it's like, okay, there's a bit of flickering, there's a bit of candle, there's a bit of this, bit of that, and it kind of helps make you feel like, oh, this is actually a medieval tavern or something, you know. It's a kind of really exciting little thing that didn't take a lot of work, but once it's in, it's nice. Whew, we got to keep pushing ahead. Let's see, so many things to talk about. If you look at my guy, zooming in here, it's not quite so well aligned because I just changed the sprite, but he does have a shadow underneath him, just a little dark circle, as do the guests who've now gone home. That was a little thing that I added as well. And right now I'm moving by holding down the mouse key, and I'm just moving in the direction where my cursor is when I'm holding it down, and that's not something that I had before. That's new. And it doesn't, if I let go of the mouse while it's over something, oh, and now we have our transition fade. Okay, and it's the next day, it's now day 2. So you can now move like this, which is really nice. That was another big thing. So smoother mouse movement like this, being able to zoom in or out like that. And another thing, I'm not quite sure if you've noticed it, people with sharp eyes might have noticed, but if I go into the background, I'm now a smaller guy than if I come into the foreground. So I'm larger here, And now I'm getting smaller again, just to help try and have that sense of scaling. So that's another big thing. The scaling works in a quite little clever way. If I go up these stairs, right, you'll notice that the size of my guy when I'm standing here, alright, okay, and the size of my guy when I'm standing, let's just go over here, the size of my guy when I'm standing over here is about the same. And you think, well, yeah, of course, they're the same distance away. Well, aha, fooled you, there is no distance, right? It's 2D. So the thing that it's using is the y-axis. The further up I am in this room, the higher, the smaller I'll be, right? As far as the game's concerned. So I'm not getting bigger because I'm closer to you. I'm exactly the same distance. There is no z, per se. It's how high I am that's controlling that. It's just an illusion. So I had to tell the game to fake that effect of it remaining the same around here. I had to say, well, look, after a certain point, don't get any smaller, please. And that worked out really well. It's amazing how you can kind of start to trick the eye like this. Okay, so that's another thing. We've got scaling, we've got zooming, we've got hold down the mouse button to click on things. If I let go, hang on, let me just show you something. If I let go of the mouse while it's over a guy, it won't select him. I have to click on a guy quite intentionally in order to get that effect, which is, you know, one of those things, again, I think I mentioned this in the last video, the game not doing things that it shouldn't do is, you can't take for granted when you're coding. You have to make sure to tell the game, don't do those things that you shouldn't do, please. And there's a lot of things that I've added this time around. So if I click here, it selects him, but I don't try to walk to him. And if you watch my video previously, if I click on a guy, I would walk to the guy that I just clicked on. Now, it will, if I click on this table, I won't walk to it. If I click on this fire, I won't walk to it. Same, you know. Again, it's just these little things that I've started to really flesh out that have made it a lot more enjoyable. Okay, so we have flickering lights. We have got a shadow underneath me. We have got a mouse cursor. We've got holding down left button to move. We've got selected guys who we can tell to go to different places if we click. Oh, no, it's not working 100%. There we go. What else can I tell you? There was a gold sound. You saw that when I clicked on it and got him to pay me some money. That is a stock, just some stock audio I grabbed offline. It is it doesn't have any you know, copyright or anything, but there we go. I'll be adding probably a whole bunch of stock sound just to flesh it out a bit with some, you know, sound of the fire and so on and so forth pretty soon. You will see there's some glowing here. Coals. Now, instead of when the fire goes out, it doesn't just go off, it turns into coals first, which is kind of, you know, it's kind of nice. Let's see now. There's a bug. That's interesting. For some reason, the fire hasn't changed. So, as it progressed in development, the number of bugs have also increased, and I've been bug squashing. That took up quite a lot of time as well. That's something that I still have to work on, a few more things, but it's getting there. That is about it. I've taken too long already, so I pretty much should wrap this up. Only thing left to say is what I would like to get done in terms of the next 2 weeks development. I think it would be finally, once I've made sure that everything is kind of, you know, relatively bug-free, table communication, so we've got conversations and stuff happening, and some new guests. So I'd like to have a bunch of new guests added, and have the option to start actually displaying conversation, fleshing out things with the basic kind of format for the narrative that will be provided with this game. We might do stuff like adding the cellar for changing what kinds of ale you have, and we might do something like add the guest book for assigning people to rooms for the night. We'll see how we go. But let's just restart. Let's just restart that. Okay. So initially, you know, you'll start off not necessarily, by the way, with these 4 tables working. They might be, for example, only 1 or perhaps none initially, and you have to build your way up to having the full 4. The justification could be that these 4 tables have all been kind of destroyed or smashed up in bar fights, which is the reason why the previous owner was kind of run out of town, because he kept losing all his money to whoever was repairing his place. It's a place with a lot of fights, and you've got to be the guy who's smart enough to somehow get all the locals or the people passing through to get on with each other a bit better. that's kind of part of the storyline. And that's it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how things progress in the next 2 weeks. As always, it's a lot of fun. It's sometimes incredibly stressful with the bug work and learning how to program and everything at the same time, but we're getting there bit by bit. I hope that you're also enjoying these videos. Okay, see you in 2 weeks.